Welcome to the night where the vibes are right. Chilling with BC, ready for the light. Grab a cup, kick back, let's ignite the chat. In this space, believe me, there's no room for flat. So come on in, let's vibe it out. Not so random, let's go with the flow. Chatting away as the good times go. Under purple lights, every moment's a treat. With laughter and love, we all feel the beat. Talking dreams, making plans, just let it flow. Dance through the topics, we'll take it slow. From silly to deep, we'll touch every strand. In the glow of our lives, let's make our stand. A journey we take, just you and me. Not so random, let's go with the flow. Chatting away as the good times go. Under purple lights, every moment's a treat. With laughter and love, we all feel the beat. Thanks for joining, it's been a delight. See you next time.
Welcome
to the night where the vibes are right. Chilling with BC, ready for the light. Grab a cup, kick back, let's ignite the chat. In this space, believe me, there's no room for flat. So come on in, let's vibe it out. Not so random, let's go with the flow. Chatting away as the good times go. Under purple lights, every moment's a treat. With laughter and love, we all feel the beat. Talking dreams, making plans, just let it flow. Dance through the topics, we'll take it slow. From silly to deep, we'll touch every strand. In the glow of our lives, let's make our stand. A journey we take, just you and me. Not so random, let's go with the flow. Chatting away as the good times go. Under purple lights, every moment's a treat. With laughter and love, we all feel the beat.
Hola. From the west side. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Feliz Viernes. Feliz Viernes. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Hope everybody has their beverage. I have my beverage again in the same cup. Told y'all this is my Delta cup, and I have something that blueberry tonight. So I've been. I saw that there was a cam up challenge over in the beach sector. I thought that was really funny. I generally cam up unless I am live and I'm at work, but I'm not working tonight. Well, at least not right now. So we cammed up. So let me stand up so I can at least, show y'all a little bit more. You know, of me. Yeah, I'm in sheet outfit tonight. So, but I've shown you guys like full pictures of me on my community wall. So we all know that DC is tall and slim. But in the last 6 months, I put on about 10 pounds, y'all. So yeah. But because I'm tall, I'd have to put on more than 10 pounds for y'all to put me in the background. I see I have myself on a purple lagoon, but I think I want us to be in the den tonight. Let me den background. So the background is my purple den. Now I dropped a few things today actually. Um First of all, I dropped the new intro song that's going to be playing in the background on the Autism Mom Chronicle. It's another song that I went over and made over on Donna AI. Um, it's called the Autism Mom Chronicles. That's the name of the song. So it's about what I do on the Autism Mom Chronicles. But what I put out after that was an actual vlog. I think this was 172 of the Autism Mom Chronicles. Man, I asked my son to bring me. David, bring me my purple pants. Off of the sofa. I'll just get someone to bring me the purple pants. It's warm. It's warm, and I. Yeah, bring me. That's it. I'm waiting for him to bring it. He's standing at the door. Autism life. I probably would have it if I had gone in there and got it myself, but wedding fans. Wait 1 second. Hey. Bring me my purse. I have to change my headphones. The ones that I use. Yeah. going out. And I knew it was getting ready to go out, but I couldn't find a page right before I came on. So I have to change to a different one. So let me put this one off. These are these ones that you just clip on your ear. So you guys can see it. These are the ones that you clip on your ear. Yeah. I'm sitting at the computer desk in my studio. I can only put on another headphone in my ear. No. Let's see. I can hear now. I sound really low though. Huh. Am I really low? Test, test, test. Can y'all hear me? Let me see. Okay. I'm not gonna touch it because I'm gonna flip myself out of the light. But yes, we had to bring a fan in here because it is warm in the studio. So let me just fan myself for a minute. I don't like the headphones that I have on. I can barely hear y'all. Barely hear myself. And I hope that it's just the headphones. I hope that it's just the headphones. All right, let me move closer because I see it. I see that I keep bleeding out of the I'm usually together. But yeah, I guess it's because I'm getting back into this. Oh. Okay, it was the headphone. It's the headphone. So I kept on saying, I sound so low. All right, so that took like 15 minutes. So watching on the replay, I apologize to the replay gang. I apologize to the replay gang. I haven't even talked about anything yet. I'm trying to get myself together up here. Let me turn down the music. Test, test, test. Y'all can hear me. You can hear me. All right. Now I've turned the music down just a tad. So, as I was saying, I did put out some. I did put out something today, really in regards to the big, beautiful bill that was signed into law on July the 3rd. And I put out some information in regards to how it could potentially affect the autism community, um, adults and children. Um, a lot of the services that children on the spectrum get, such as ABA and occupational therapy, speech therapy, um, that are offered in the school could potentially be underfunded or cut if, in fact, some of these services are rolled back from the federal level to the state level. And and it depends on what state you live in and what services the state is handling versus what services are handled as far as the federal government. And a lot of these services are partially funded by the federal government. So if people don't have insurance that will pay for it, they may be paying out of pocket. And let me tell you something. A lot of the services, like the occupational therapy, the adaptive behavior analysis, the speech therapy, all of those things are expensive if the parent has to pay for them themselves. And I'm sorry, y'all, but I have this banana pudding sitting here, and I don't really want to be eating on camera, but however, I'm eating this banana pudding. It's just been sitting there calling my name. I'm sorry. I won't eat all of it. I had to eat a little bit. But so a lot of the things that I was able to get for my son when he was matriculating through school could potentially be taken away from this next generation because of the big, beautiful bill. Now, it could work either way because it really just depends on where they decide they're going to make cuts. They may decide that they want to push more money for things that are for the community, like job training and for adults on the spectrum, um, safe public places for those on the spectrum to be able to go. Like sometimes they will do showings of movies that are autism friendly, and that means that they've done things with the sound so that it's not so much. If it's something that has like flashing lights or things that might bother. They do certain things. I've taken my son to some of those showings in the past when he was younger. Um, but generally, he likes the loud noises in movies. That doesn't seem to bother him at all. He loves it. Uh, but that's not the same case for a lot of kids on the spectrum. The sounds and stuff makes them spin out of control. Yeah, they'll just they they'll spin out of control. I need to cut myself off. Okay, good. So that's one of the potentials. Let me just, I have my notes from when I did my video, and this is just kind of a recap of some of the stuff. And I just really want to expound upon it, really. But yeah, some of the things that could potentially happen is that services that are currently covered by insurance in states where it there's not state funding, like speech therapy. Um, Before my son started school, his speech therapy services were handled by regional centers, is what they have here in California, and that's state funded. Once he started school, he still had speech therapy. I fought to keep the speech therapy that he was getting, which was private speech therapy, and I made the school district pay for it because I wanted him to have this individualized speech therapy to help him with his speech. And I know, like, a lot of times people don't realize that my son can talk because he doesn't talk a lot, which is the autism. The autism. But he can talk. And he understands everything. He has very, very high IQ. Like genius IQ, which is crazy. But a lot of the services that he got growing up was because part of that was federally funded. Under the No Child Left Behind, or except if they have autism, because they kind of push our kids through. But that's another story. But now, if certain things are put into place with this, then if there's the potential that certain services that kids are able to get when they're in school, that they will no longer be able to get them unless the parents are able to pay for them, either through their insurance or out of pocket if insurance doesn't cover it. That's a potential. And then their job training programs and other services that are currently available for adults that could potentially be eliminated. And I just wonder if if you want those on the spectrum who are not considered level one, if you want your 2s and 3s potentially get out there and work, how are they going to do that if the job training programs are cut, or if jobs are not encouraged to hire neurodivergent employees? I'm just wondering. But I'm concerned that with the big beautiful bill, BBB, that if you can't afford it, you're not going to get certain services. And it took a long time for things that are part of autism to be handled by insurance. And they're generally only handled by insurance when it's not something that the state or you know, school funded. But there are states where that's the only way the parents can get anything for their kids. And if they're taking away Medi-Cal, Medicaid services, it's Medi-Cal here in California, but Medicaid services, some parents won't be able to afford that. A lot of jobs, people can't afford to insure their kids on their job. Or their insurance won't cover their children because autism may be considered a pre-existing condition. There's that. And insurance tries to, and legally, they're supposed to keep those on the autism spectrum. They're supposed to be able to keep them on their insurance up to the age of 26, and really, sometimes you can keep them on even longer than that. But at least until they're 26. Because until my son was 26, he was covered under his dad's insurance. It was cheaper for his dad to cover him than it was for me. And then he started utilizing his Medi-Cal. Now, he had the Medi-Cal since he was 18, but before he was 18, he didn't even qualify for any of that. He didn't qualify for any of that because I made too much money. And even though his father made less than me, his father made too much money. We made too much money. We would have been in poverty for him to get Medi-Cal or Medicaid before the age of 18. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm concerned. I'm going to be watching to see how this affects him. I never had even tried to get his food stamps, which he is eligible for. I probably should do that before he can't get them, or they assume that he doesn't need them because he will. So yeah, I need to take care of that. You know, now that I have everything that they wanted, 'cause they want everything to prove. Yeah. So I think I'm going to be taking care of that while they're trying to figure out the big beautiful bill and how it's going to impact services here in the state of California. But I would advise everyone who has kids on the spectrum, or even, it doesn't even have to be a child on the spectrum. If you have a disabled child, or you're dealing with someone who has a disability, because this is going to impact them all. It's also going to impact seniors. But I focused in my videos specifically on autism, but I'm sure that the ways that it potentially impact autism are the exact same ways that it will impact other disabilities or developmental differences. I'm very concerned because I don't think that the Republicans give a damn about the disabled population. Even though allegedly one of the president's kids is allegedly on the spectrum. Allegedly. Hmm. Maybe that's why he did some harm. Hmm. And it just really burned 47's britches that 44's daughter went to Harvard. Oh, and that also that 44 went to Harvard Law School, and that 44's wife went to Harvard Law School. hmm I'm sure he thinks it's DEI. Yeah, that yellow shirt you see in the background, that's David. That's David. David. Come say hi. You gotta come closer so they can actually see you. Say hi. Look at the screen. Say hi. Oh, now I'm eating a cookie, y'all. I am feeding my face. But we don't know how CBD is going to impact yet. But we will soon. Soon we're gonna know. I pray that it does not negatively impact the autism community. But every state has different levels of services available. All states are not equal when it comes to service services and serving the autistic population. From what I know, California and New York, particularly, I believe it's upstate New York, are the best at this point. I believe that in Florida, they have services in specific counties. They're good. Like Miami-Dade, because that's where Dan Marino was and still is. And he has a kid on the spectrum. And he's made sure. I'm not so convinced about services in the state of Texas. They've got very good music therapy programs in Texas. And I know that there's there is, I believe, a bakery or something that is wholly owned and operated by someone on the spectrum and their parent, and all of the employees there are on the spectrum. And I think that there is like car wash. This one open. But as far as the services, kids, it appears to be feast or famine. And it seems to be a problem with properly diagnosing because I have a cousin that went to school in Texas and they kept trying to say she had mental retardation when she had autism. But see, the problem is that generally with girls, either they're very severely autistic, meaning they're nonverbal, or they're very verbal, and because they're very verbal, people don't think they're on the spectrum if they think that anything is wrong with them at all. Autistic women and autistic girls, they fall through the cracks a lot. It seems to be very hard to get a proper diagnosis of autism for females. Probably why Chrisette Michelle, in her 40s, has now been properly diagnosed with autism. I'm still not paying any attention to Amanda Seals over there until she goes and gets a professional diagnosis. I'm not accepting her self-diagnosis because she's trying to use it as an excuse for her bad behavior. So no. No. The problem is you. It's not autism. Mhm. Yeah. But overall, women and girls on the spectrum have a harder time when it comes to getting a diagnosis. But I really am going to be keeping, I personally am going to be watching to see what happens. I'm going to be watching to see what the Autism Society of America is looking at as far as this is. I mean, I'm going to look to see what Autism Speak is doing as well. But, and this is just my personal opinion in regards to Autism Speak. Autism Speak, unfortunately, does not try to empower those on the spectrum. They're good for getting a lot of research done, but there's not a cure for autism. But it's also not something that should be pitied. And the things that how I'm feeling is based on is really based on what I am seeing. They care, they focus on the kids, but those kids become adults. Autism is a lifetime. You're neurodivergent your entire life. You may learn to mask and adapt, but it doesn't change the fact that they're neurodivergent. Okay, and with that, hey, hey, underrated, hey, JT, how are you? I'll be talking, dude. Yeah, I'm starting to go live again finally. It took me a minute. Took me it took me a minute. I'm trying to bring it up on the phone. There you go. I know we gotta chop it up. I know I, I'm finally, coming live again. So I'm trying to get consistent with it. But definitely, definitely, definitely. I'm gonna put my let me put my email in the chat. That's my email. The purple diva den at gmail.com. That is my email. But yeah, the things that I'm hearing in regards to autism speak that when my son was growing up, I wasn't aware. But as my son got older, I I started speaking to adults on the spectrum, and as he was transitioning, I learned that autism speak, they do a lot of wonderful stuff and it's a lot of showy stuff, but they're not in it to help our kids help themselves. So for that, I kind of look more towards the Autism Society of America, which is run by those on the spectrum, and not saying that they speak for everyone who has autism, but they are a legitimate voice of those on the spectrum. And a lot of them are quite capable of self advocacy. I mean, there's even, there's I know a lot of quite a few people with autism that are able to take care of themselves, but they still should be able to get the services that they need as adults and as kids. And this big, beautiful bill should not cut that out. And it just depends on how this, swirls out to the state. Because if they roll it back to the state, things are not going to be the same depending on where you live in the country. That's the way that it is now, but it's going to be even more crucial. One of the reasons why I'm still in California, ugh, one of the reasons why I'm still in California is because of my son being on the autism spectrum and because of the services that he can get here that are not the same depending on where you go. Like the in-home support services. I'm able to caregive for him, and you know, if I didn't live where I live in California, I could probably just be his caregiver and not have a real job outside of that. Not saying that that isn't a real job, because I even have to, I get benefits and everything, get sick days and all that with that. But, you know, in my career, if I said if I looked at what I made hourly, I make more than, like $50 an hour from my job. So I can make hundreds of dollars in a day from my full-time job versus I'm making above the minimum wage in California, working with my son. But if we went to a different well, minimum wage is not the same in every state. So even if he continued to have in-home support services and I was his person who was doing this in-home support services, I might have to have two jobs somewhere else too. you know, even though, you know, I do get quite a few hours handling things for him, but still, it's not balanced across the United States as to um, the availability of in-home support services. Because with in-home support services, that's not just for those with autism. That's for seniors, and that is for those with disabilities who need assistance. But it's not just for, so that money is spread a over a large, diverse population. And, you know, obviously it has a limit, and there's potential that with the changes that are being made, that money may be reduced. There's a lot of things that are going on in regards to how the big, beautiful bill potentially impact the autism. So I'm definitely going to be watching that. I'm definitely going to be watching what the advocacy groups are doing to see how it, what the feelings are across the autism community. If I don't even know, who is do they have people lobbying for them on Capitol Hill, like for the Autism Society of America, Autism Speak? Do they have people lobbying on their behalf? I don't know. Something to think about. But let me move on to the other things. So this has been a week of people dying. We started the week with Malcolm Jamal Warner, and I'm not gonna get over that one. That's the one I think that hits the hardest. Then we've also lost Ozzy Osbourne, who calls himself the Prince of Darkness. Lord have mercy. Then we lost Hulk Hogan, who, for all intents and purpose, was an aces, because he liked to say the N word with a hard ER, and he lost a lot of fans in the Black community in 2015. And the ironic thing is that it was this week, exactly 10 years ago, that happened. And then 10 years later, the same week, he drops dead of a heart attack. I don't even, and you think about it. I don't think, I know his daughter wasn't effing with him. His ex-wife wasn't effing with him. I don't know if his son Nick was effing with him. I think his family had just written him off because, they didn't feel that way. I mean, yeah. And I posted, just like I post about everybody, that I know of in my shorts. And let me tell y'all, the Black folk over on TikTok didn't give a damn about Hulk Hogan. Okay? They like, black people don't care. And they gave me a view just so they could leave that comment. It was funny. I didn't expect. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like, it was 10 years ago. The man died, and regardless of him being an aces, he was the face of the WWE for many, many years. He had, and a lot of black people liked him up until he did what he did. So. And then also the other person that died this week was Chuck Mangione. And if you don't know who Chuck Mangione is, it's probably because you weren't around in the 70s. But he had a hit song called Feels So Good that really probably pulled those of us who were kids at that time. It made us start to like jazz. It made us start to like jazz. I had Feel So Good on 45, y'all. I had it on a 45. He won a Grammy for that song. And he also, you know, won an Emmy because he wrote the theme to the Tonight Show. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that the Tonight Show theme was written by Chuck Mangione and he got an Emmy for it? Anyway, yeah. He was 85 years old. So he had lived a long life. He had lived a long life. I think we also, I don't think it was this week. I think it might have been last week. The older gentleman who became famous on TikTok. I think he died at 102. He was a World War II vet. You see, that's why I stay off of Facebook. I stay off of Facebook because every time I go on Facebook, somebody dies. I just can't do it. Every time I go on there, somebody dies. That I know. And, so far, I would say up until the age of like maybe about a couple of years ago, everybody that went to high school with me was still here. But in the last couple of years, I've lost several of my high school classmates. And I went to an all girls high school. So these are women who are dying around 60, 61. And in one case, they hadn't been sick. They just suddenly, they weren't here no more. And I think right now why it's so hard for me is because coming up on the 1 year anniversary of losing a good friend of mine, and it has it had a huge impact on my church, my ministry, because she was the minister of music at my church. And the week after she died, my pastor's son died. So we had two people, and he ran our school of ministry. He ran the school of ministry for our church. Yeah. My church actually has a school of ministry that you can go to and get an associate degree. And he ran that for the past. And our church has been grieving for the past year. I mean, we are still dealing with it. Uh, it's crazy. So dealing with that, and then these deaths that are coming at the same time. Like the one that hit me the most, the reason why Malcolm Jamal Warner hits me the most is because although he's not my generation, he's the generation of my siblings. I'm not a Gen X. I'm a Gen Jones. We are not baby boomers. Okay, we are not baby boomers. There is no such thing as baby boomer 2. Please stop using that effing term. Baby boomers end in 1954. 1954 to 1965, which is when, Gen X starts, is Generation Jones. We're the generation that was, like, I think the only war that happened during that 10-year period was the Korean, and most of us weren't around for it because we weren't born until after 1960. But they like to push us in there with the generation before us. No, no, ma'am, no, sir. We are not them. We are not the same. We are the generation who actually invented hip hop. It was my generation. All of the the first one, with the exception of LL Cool J, because he's a Gen X. But Easy, Curtis Blow, Run DMC, Kool Moe Dee, all of them. They my generation. They my, Now Gen X, they the FAFO generation. That's them. We're their older siblings, and we don't even try it. Yeah. We're the older siblings that went off to college, and Gen X became like peak kids because we were gone. We left. Of course, my siblings weren't as much of latchkey kids. Well, my brother really wasn't. My sister was a little bit of one for a couple of years, but for a few years, but yeah, because I think I was only in California for a year before my family started moving to the West Coast. My family, with the exception of my mom, the rest of my family came to California in the 80s. I came to California in the 80s. They all followed me to California in the 80s. Now, everyone except for me, my son, and then my sister's son is no longer in California, and my mom is in glory. Yeah. I would love to not be in California. I would love to not be in California. But Malcolm impacted me because I was part of the generation that watched the Cosby Show. I was part of the generation, those, who had who was black middle class. My dad was a doctor. He still is a doctor, as a matter of fact. A damn good one, too. My parents went to HBCU. They were the generation, they were the first generation in their family to go to college. Their parents before them, well, my dad's mother started college. She just didn't finish. But her sister, yeah, my Aunt Will was a teacher. So on my dad's side, he was the second generation. They were the second generation to go to college. But because my grandmother did do some college, but my grandfather, I don't think he went to college at all. They weren't trying to, allow. It was like in the 50s when you saw more. So it was in the 50s, but both of my parents went to HBCUs, and out of my siblings, I'm the only one who experienced an HBCU. My freshman year in college, I went to an HBCU, and then after that, I went to a PWI. But both my brother and sister went to PWIs. Yeah, and I'm the only one who is part of the Divine Nine out of my siblings. My dad is divine. Me and my dad are Divine Nine. My siblings are not in a Greek organization. My mother was not in a Divine Nine organization. She was, however, Phi Beta Kappa. Which is probably better than being in a fraternity or sorority, because that's the honor fraternity and fraternal organization. But when my mother was in college, Divine Nine was banned from campus during the period of time she was there for hazing. They weren't let back onto the campus until after she had matriculated. I've been on here running my mouth for an hour. I can do that, That's why would... But I probably will be back tomorrow. So, even though I wasn't part of the little cam up challenge, I camped up anyway because, well, I do. And considering that I'm a senior citizen, that I'm an auntie, I'm an elder, I think I look good. Yeah, I don't look like I'm a senior, but I am one. And I don't know, I might come. That means it's time to go. Oh, can y'all hear me? Oh, see, y'all couldn't even hear me. Now you hear me. It took a minute for my sound to come back. I kicked myself out of the studio. That means it's time to go. But as I was saying, I may be on. I may come on tomorrow. Um, I don't know if I'll do a daytime pop up or if I'll come on in the evening. I do plan on. I'm going to be working, making some dollars and some cents. But I might come on for a few. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how the day goes. But time for me to get out of here. It's time for me to get out of here. I will be see you guys soon. Even if I don't come on this weekend, I will be dropping some more. I will be dropping some more content because we only have a few more days in the month, and we must be making our YouTube checks. We must be getting our YouTube checks. Okay. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, I offer you peace and blessings from the West Side. All right, let me get out of here. See you guys. Peace. Bye.
Well, guys, that's it for tonight's Not So Random Chat. But I'll see you guys the next time. Until then, peace and blessings from the West Side. I'm out. Peace.